get clarification on this. So earlier on you said the slogans, the BO must go, also led to the interpretation of the whole incident to be an attempted overthrow. How does that justify the claim now that it's an attempted overthrow? This is election period.
No.
People have different slogans.
The way you put it, that's not how I put it.
So please clarify.
So that's
exactly
what I'm saying. So there were several indicators. It's not one slogan that led to it. Several indicators. If you have a violent protest that is complaining with placards about people being hungry and joblessness, then that is something different. If you have a violence demonstration that came out to say, we want the president to go, president must go, that is a different indicator. Now that indication is one, but then for example, if you're hungry and you think the economy is bad, which we all know is true, the inflation has worsened, you don't go and destroy your own buses where your children go to school, used to go to school. You don't attack police officers and kill them. You don't destroy and burn down police stations across the country. You don't attempt to go into the airport to dig the runway so flights do not come. But that was not just the reason. From the CCTV cameras and from the videos, it was, Lord, dig the wall so the president will come back. We will get a new president. That's what it came. So all of this accumulated. So it's not just the slogan. Let us be clear about that. It is not just the slogan. There were clear, calculated attempt to undermine state authority.
And clarify that again. You say CCTV footage showing people
Lunge
saying,
International Airport, it's in the report.
So the president would not land and
Yes.
there would be a new president.
That was clear. It's in the report. If you read the report, you'll see we made that very clear. The Lunge International Airport had a CCTV camera around that. Now they gave us what is it called, the Westminster. They provided us CCTV camera, and then there are also videos and audios that were taken of the demonstration. Save for the fact that the military, the Air Force wing at the airport intervened. Those on the streets on that day had overpowered the police to get into the airport. And all the slogans, all the plans, all the utterances were about destroying the airport. And I have said this the last 2 days. Imagine, for once, that those security officers did not stop those protesters and that airport was touched. It will have taken us the next 5 years before any serious flight will have come to Sierra Leone. So these are not petty issues in my estimation. When I sit and I see the bigger picture, and I found, and we as a committee found these things, we have to report them.
Let's go back to Monday. We had Femi Claudius-Cole here, and she said some of their tweets were taken out of context by the committee, and taking a context of a message can give it a different meaning.
So, sorry, Phoebe.
I don't want to go into syntax and context and what
sorry,
about
Phoebe,
this.
and Emmanuel, my phone is buzzing. I see the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs and the National Secretary General of the APC trying to reach out and trying to make some comments. Please permit us to just hear their side. I have the National Secretary General of the All People's Congress Party, Lawyer Lanson Adumbuya. Lawyer Adumbuya, good morning and welcome to Wake Up Sierra Leone.
Good morning, Mr. Wise.
I'm sure you must have gone through the report by the special committee set up by President Bill to look into the August incident of 2022, and you have those concerns. But now the report is saying at the national level they cannot identify the APC to have been involved in any of the incidents. But at the subnational level, I mean, things were facilitated by your members, people who were clearly identified as APC supporters, either councillors, former members of parliament, and all of that. What does the party make of this, if at all your people were involved in this as put out by the committee?
To me, Mr. Wise, that particular statement made by members of the committee is completely nonsensical. And they know it's not true, and that is why the APC wants members of those of the committee to come out clearly, if at all their report has been tampered with, to come out clearly and let the public know exactly where it has been tampered with, if they are the ones who really made those statements. I really, if they are the ones who made that statement, because some of them, as I said, you remember, you interviewed me, and I told you that some of the members of the committee are people who are highly respected. And if that is so, and they have made that statement, which they believe is not true, they have to be accountable to the people of this country, because that is not true. I am telling you, Mr. Wise, the APC is not involved in any way whatsoever.
Lawyer Dumbuya, the chairman of the committee is here. Lawyer Manuel Safabula is with us in the studio, and he has just reiterated the findings and how they went, the processes they went through to have arrived at those conclusions. They visited the areas where the incidents occurred. They also visited areas where where incidents did not occur, just to ascertain whether the incidents were fueled by the socio-economic activities or standings of the nation. But it's clear from the report that these incidents occurred in your strongholds. And they also mention that the mayor, for example, who is a member of the mayor of Freetown Municipality, who is a member of your party, participated and facilitated the organization of a national prayer and fasting called by Adebayo.
No, that is not true. That is not true. Did they interview the mayor? I mean, you are telling me Safa is there. It is sad for people to make certain statements because they want to get the APC involved. I do not... what are the details of the report? It's not to make the statement. Who is the person whom the committee identified to say this is the APC? If you say it is the stronghold, is it because the stronghold, inside the stronghold of the APC, you have other political parties who have membership in that stronghold? Were you able to identify that person having a membership card of the APC? Sometimes you have to be very careful. The fact that it happens within Kutoro, or it happens at Dovecot, or it happens at whatever you may name in your report, does not necessarily mean that they are members of the APC.
Are you disowning the report and questioning its credibility entirely?
I am, because if you say it happened within the stronghold of the APC, so therefore it is facilitated by APC, completely, Samuel Wise, without you going through it, without you deciphering the report, just that statement tells you that it is biased. You cannot say that. You can only say it happens in this area. And those people in that area, must be accountable for it. You cannot say because that is the stronghold of the APC. You have to make... If something happened in Kenema now, do you have to say because it happened in Kenema or in Bo or Kalang, therefore it's been facilitated by members of the SLPP? They will not allow it. So I cannot subscribe to that.
At this point, just quickly, we have to let you go. What's the position of the APC?
We are going to come out with a position. From yesterday, we are looking at it as a party. We are coming with a party position on it. And for now, we just want the public to know that the APC, as far as it has been mentioned in whatever form in that report, completely denounce and reject whatever assertion is being made against the party. And those who are involved in the exercise knows that statement cannot lead to that conclusion. Even somebody who is a first grader in logic cannot conclude the way the committee concludes. Say because it is stronghold of the APC, so therefore it's no. Safa. That is completely nonsense.
Lansana, just before we let you go quickly, have you read the report?
I've read the report. We're deciphering each and every member who is involved. We started, and like I said to you, we're coming with a party position. Maybe in the next few hours, we'll come up with a party position on that.
Also, Safa, just a quick confirmation. Are you
talking? Firstly, I feel
just a minute.
I feel I'm being ambushed with this one.
Is it an individual thing the report deals with, or APC as a political party?
Well, you've heard what...
Lansana, hold on. I'm just confirming quickly from Safa.
Sorry. Yes.
Individuals, no.
It's not the political party.
It's a political party.
It's the political party.
The report looks at persons of interest. And
Safa, do you want to confirm that quickly?
I don't get the question, so I'm trying to
So
decipher
he is saying it's an attack on APC. I'm asking you, is the report dealing with APC as a party or individuals?
The report treated individuals and entities. So both APC, SLPP, NGC, Unity Party, anybody who is a political player was dealt with. If he feels like it's an attack on the APC, it's okay. Individuals were listed, but I also feel it should be fair to give everybody the opportunity to react like Lansana has done.
Yeah, we had Femi Claudius Cole here on Monday.
Because it's not. Reports also dealt with the SLPP.
Right.
We questioned.
We'll continue on that quickly. Sorry, Safa. I was deliberate in getting that. Now, Lansana, would you, with all confidence, speak to the public and confirm that the APC, as a party, controls the entirety of its membership?
We can tell you that we have a level of strata of authority in the APC. We have our executive and we have our membership in the party. And to some extent, let me say this to you. If the APC is involved, or if we want any protest in this country...
You're saying if...
Yes, if the APC wants.
So as a party, have you fully done your own investigation to confirm the level of involvement of some of your members in the incident?
We are not involved in any way whatsoever.
So it means you've not done an investigation?
Not even our members, Because let me say this to you, before I became the National Secretary.
Lansana, without conducting an investigation, how are you certain?
Let me conclude. Before even I became the National Secretary General of the People's Congress Political Party, I have been one of the people calling for an investigation. Even the day I called for the investigation was the day that particular, I think a day or two after. That's when the committee was established. Mr. White knows exactly what I'm talking about. I was there in the studio, talking about that. So I followed it. I went to court, I represented some of the members, in those who are arrested. And let me say this, the committee has to be very careful. Those whom I represented, they were just arrested nilly. Some of them were not even close.
Lansana, I'm not trying to be rude, to interrupt and cut you, but it's past 9 o'clock and it's time we go for a news summary. We would follow up with you once the APC comes out with a position statement on the report. But thank you very much for your time this morning to talk to us.
Yes, I hope they made a statement about that particular issue. Those who are never involved and were just arrested.
All right, thank you very much, Lansana Doumbouya. It's after 9 o'clock now. We're going back to Studio 2 to join David Remy Wilson. Top stories from the news.
All right, thank you very much, Samuel and Phoebe. Well, in our top stories this morning, Detective Joshua Mosa of the Operation Unit Criminal Investigation Department headquarters has confirmed to journalists that they have arrested one Samuel Bundu, who impersonated the Inspector General of Police and collected over 100 million leones from politician Mohamed Kamara, popularly known as Jagaban. He said Jagaban has, in one of his meetings with the Inspector General of Police, promised to buy an ammo vehicle for the police force.
Saturday, 15th April 2023, one Samuel Bundu of number 45 Malta Street, Freetown, was arrested for the offenses of conspiracy to defraud, to which obtained money by false pretenses and personation. Contacted one Mohamed Kamara, alias Jagaban, that he was sent by the Inspector General of Police, to receive certain amount they agreed on for an armored vehicle. According to Mohamed Kamara, alias Jagaban, he also contacted the number given to him, or the number that was calling him, to confirm whether he is the one who actually sent Samuel, and indeed the individual who claimed to be the Inspector General of Police confirmed to Mohamed Kamara Elias Jagaba that he should release the money to Samuel Bundu, which he did.
Okay, sir. Right, well, in another story, the Director of Training and External Relation at the Political Parties Regulation Commission, Hussein Momo, has warned political parties that are yet to meet the 50% compliance criteria set by the Commission will not participate in the forthcoming election. He, however, urged them to ensure that they fully fulfill their criteria before the deadline of the nomination period. Momo was responding to rumors that PPRC is to ban 14 political parties from participating in the country's general elections.
17 registered political parties, only 4 political parties are not fully functional, because they were unable to make the 50% threshold. And this includes the United National People's Party, which is the UNPP, and we have the Coalition for Change Party, which is the C4C. As you all know, the C4C were to hold their National Delegate Conference on Sunday, but on Friday there was a court injunction slammed on the party, and that was asked by some of their members who were not happy with some of the happenings when they were doing their lower level elections. And we have the Unity Party and the National Progressive Democrat, which is the NPD. For all other political parties, all other 13 political parties, they can fill in candidates as we speak for the ongoing nomination period for the 2023 elections. It all depends on when they will do the needful. I cannot say because there is already a calendar set out by the Electoral Commission.
All right, and finally, Vice Chairperson of the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone, Victor Idrissa Lansana, has urged the Sierra Leone National Commission on Small Arms to educate the public on the dangers of carrying unlicensed weapons and the processes that people should follow to acquire firearms. He made this call following the killing of a senior police personnel in Makeni.
We are calling upon them to ensure, by virtue of Section 15, subsection 2, paragraph B of their Act, to ensure that they talk to the public, they educate the public about the dangers of carrying unlicensed weapons, the dangers of carrying unlicensed guns, and what it means for you to own a gun, which processes, which procedures do you have to go through.
I've been coming into Sierra Leone with guns or weapons. That we call it illegal. You should not come into Sierra Leone with a weapon. To know who or what weapon was used in this kind of scene, but the police is in charge of the investigation, and they are way ahead trying to piece out what really happened.
All right, that's all we have in our top stories this morning. Back to you, Samuel and Phoebe, in our main studios.
Many thanks indeed, David Remy Wilson, for bringing us the top stories of the news. We still have with us Emmanuel Safar Abdullah in the studio. Now we've been able to establish contact with the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs, who doubles as the National Publicity Secretary of the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party, Lahai Lawrence Leema. Good morning and welcome to Wake Up Sierra Leone, Leema.
Good morning, Samuel, and good morning, listeners.
Now, Leema, first off, I'm sure you must have gone through the report by the committee set up by President Bill. And in that report, the committee clearly stated that you did not show up, despite several attempts to have you respond to allegations of some of your activities during the curfew hour and allegations of you involved in extrajudicial killings, and but you did not appear. First off, let's have an understanding. Why did you not appear in front of the committee to answer to some of the questions, if at all you were invited?
Thank you very much, Samuel, for having me into the conversation. And in the first place, let me start by thanking His Excellency the President for putting such a reputable committee together to do an investigation into the incident that occurred on August 10. Not appearing on the committee is not a fault of mine, but it's as a result of the fact that I was not notified that I should be on that committee, and I got a call on the day that they required me to be on the committee. In fact, the call came in and it was very abrupt. The manner of communication to me, even by the caller, who happens to be retired Colonel Goto, was very unprofessional, but yet I was able to manage the conversation and talk to him that I have not been notified of me being, you requiring me and my presence into that committee. However, as at this material time that you have called, I am engaged in a meeting with guests in my office. Still, I am available if you could reschedule a better time for me, either after this meeting or some other time. So he said to me that I will hear back from him. After that, he dropped the call, and I never got back to him. I got a call from Mr. Avayama, who is the ONS coordinator, asking me that he has been informed that I have refused to show up for the committee, the Special Investigation Committee. I told him that is not true. He has been misinformed, that I am always available. I got a call from retired Colonel Goto, who was like urging me that now you will wait for. I asked him, what are you waiting for me for? He said, are you not aware of the Special Investigation Committee work that is ongoing? I said, I'm aware, but I'm not aware that you required me at this material time. So no Colonel Goto, no Avayama ever rescheduled time for me to show up to give my own account of what happened on August 10. And for such innuendos or allegations being drawn around the very fact that I did not appear at the committee for a reason which is not my own fault, to also draw an innuendo of that nature of drawing extrajudicial killing is unfortunate. Because these are all calculations of ploy in order to make me look bad in the eyes of the public and also make me look bad in the eyes of the president. For those who calculated that action, it is a failed cause, because there is no loyalty you can show to a leader than what I did on August 10. When I came personally under attack, my vehicle was attacked, there were roadblocks before me, spanning from Wellington up to Upgun. I came under tremendous road attacks with stones pelted at my vehicle. The windscreen of my vehicle was badly damaged. My security died in the process. I came to State House. I went to see...
Leema, just before you continue with these things, the chairman of the committee is with us in the studio, and he mentioned letters were sent out to all entities, including persons of interest. Did you not receive those letters in January of this year?
It's unfortunate that he's a lawyer. He failed to do due diligence, and yet he could publish a report without getting back from somebody probably he thinks is germane to the cause of the investigation, and publishing such report. That's unfortunate. He's a lawyer. He knows exactly what service means. And when you require the presence of somebody to give his own testimony on account, he knows the effort to apply. I never received a letter, nor did I get even a text message, save from the fact that I received a call on the material day that they required me, and of which I was engaged in some other official duty, and I asked them to also reschedule. And after that date, no effort was made to get me give my own account. And this is why I'm saying that not getting me on the whole thing here is about the principle of natural justice, to get me give my own side of the story. And if you have not been able to get me give my own side of the story, does that warrant you to build innuendos around my family name, around my image, to undermine my own very good work that salvaged the situation on that day? Is that the reward I get for working so hard to preserve the peace and security of this nation? Is that the reward I get? But I am not surprised. This is not coming as a surprise to me, because they had tried it to mess up my name in a corruption saga. They tried it with Ben Kefala. He tried it with me. It did not work. Before this time, I've gotten the intelligence that these people have been planning something to mess up my name in a scandalous behavior
Leema,
that does not fit my personality.
Leema.
And this is exactly what has been exhibited.
Leema.
As I am saying, I am still very humble and I'm very committed to still give my own side of the story.
And quickly, Leema, in 2 minutes, that is what, if you're claiming that you've not been given an opportunity to hear your own side of the story. Now, people accused you that during the curfew hours and you engaged in some dubious activities leading to extrajudicial killings. What are your thoughts?
I am a professional retired military officer. Because this is the thought, that in as much as people go into the military, people think that the military is a dumping ground for dropouts. I'm never a dropout. I am a graduate with a legal knowledge, and in my service, I did 7 years plus in the army. I spent 5 years of my service in the legal office. I clearly understand what rules of engagement is. I understand my do's and don'ts. So I am, even though I am outside the army, I am a professional military officer. I have a family name to protect. I am a good citizen. I have never, ever been involved into taking anybody's life innocently. That is a ploy. It's the calculations that is aimed at tarnishing my name and also undermine the good working relationship between me and the president. But it's a failed cause, and I am still committed to give my own side of the story. And I do believe that on that day, I worked assiduously and I did very well to salvage the situation. The only impression that will leave me with that the August 10 probably was an orchestration to take away my life, and because God saved me from that situation, that is why they are still pushing to run things around my name that does not befit my person, my personality, and my individual self. And I remain to be loyal to the state and to the president because, yes, he is the one God has ordained to take leadership of this nation. I am a Christian. I understand exactly the response of David at the time when God sold King Saul to him. I understand King David's response. I am a Christian, a Catholic to be precise. I have never ever involved in taking any innocent life, and I do not wish to ever take any innocent life. My work is geared towards preserving the peace and stability of this nation and for the good.
Thank you very much, Lahai Lawrence Leema, Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs, who doubles as the National Publicity Secretary of the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party. Safa, just before we get responses from you, let's quickly welcome the Minister of Information and Communications, Mohammed Ramansori. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Yes, good morning. Good to be here.
All right. Safa, let's hear your responses from the APC Secretary General to Leema.
Allegations. Firstly, maybe I start with Lemon. It's okay for you to be angry, but it's also okay to be honest. The only reason why I have asked the committee not to release the way book, it's because of professionalism. As I sit here, Lahai Lawrence Lemon's letter was sent on the 6th of, I have a way book here that I have snapshotted. Basically, his letter was sent and was signed for by Tambasam. Now, no response.
On the 6th of April?
On the 6th of January.
Right.
Now, on the 6th of January letter, we had scheduled his meeting for the 18th of January at 3 p.m. His letter is also here. Now, when we did not hear from him, we sent a second letter again on the 10th. Sorry, he did not show up on the 18th.
Right.
We were there, and he did not show up. And we said, okay, maybe he did not receive the letter. We sent a second letter, which was received on the 10th of February, again by the same Tambasam and signed for. Now, this is a way book where everyone...
Were you able to establish who Tambasam is in the office?
No, that's not your business. No, come on, you take the letter to the Deputy Minister's office. You're not taking it to a home without an address. You're not taking it to someone on the street. You're taking the letter to the Deputy Minister's office. And in that office, someone received the letter and signed the way book. You are going to begin to establish who that person is? No, that's not your responsibility. Now, he did not show up for the second time. This is 2 letters we're talking about. I have copies of those letters. Then we said, okay. For those who don't know, Leema calls me big brother. So I was already conflicted with him. I did not get involved in it. So other people had to deal with him. We said, okay, Colonel Goto, you are a military officer. Can you reach out to him? Now, Leema is not the only person. We sent letters to 38 people. Everyone received their letters. Everyone either showed up or said, I am not coming. Yeah, the mayor got hers and she published it. She came with a media crew and said, I know the answer question. So what we did with this, we did not find anything adverse against Leema. So again, the issue of attacking personality, me being a lawyer actually makes me a better person to handle situations like this. That's why I have a way book, because I am a professional lawyer. Right? Me being a lawyer also gives me the knowledge and expertise to ensure that I did not do anything that was adverse against you. What we did was, Leema's allegations are this, he did not show up. Simple. Mayor's allegations are this, she showed up and she said, I'm not answering the questions. Femi Claudia School's allegations are this, she showed up and she did not answer any of the questions, rather she was being insulting to all of us on the panel. Simple. That's our role. We did not say your family name has been dragged into gutters. Let's take, for instance, one point. You were called to a meeting that this committee was going to meet with you. You spoke to 2 people. These are not Safa Abdullahi, the ordinary lawyer on the street. Retired Brigadier Colonel Goto. Avayama is head of entire intelligence network. Did you follow up? Let's be honest. These people came to you and said, but why you not come? We don't send letters to you. I mean, I have said in the forum where he is, I said, I don't want to put you on the limelight. This is not about you. You did not show up. Defend yourself on the street to the public. We've done our job. Simple. Your allegations are there. You, like any other person whose name came up in this committee, will report on you. Right. That's the point. Let's come to the APC. And again, Leema is not my problem. I have nothing against him. We're very close friends. I mean, we chat, we talk, he calls me elder brother, but I had a professional job to do, not just me. This is a committee of people who are older than me. Like, you have professionals who sit here. You are not going to tell them, oh, no, put Leema in name because he did not show up. You are the only person who will send 2 letters to. Only person. Every other person who will send 1 letter show up. You did not, by some mysterious means, you did not receive letters that were signed for in your office at the Ministry of Internal Affairs. I leave that to you. I leave that to the public. I mean, my colleague, Lance, and it's interesting. He says what we wrote is nonsensical. But you were not in the field. You did not find what we found. You did not know what we saw. We spoke to your party as a person. One of your party senior members accepted that there were rogue members in the party. But you said what we said is nonsensical. And this is what I say. I respect Lanson a lot. He's my senior in the profession. We have a good relationship. But sometimes it's just good to take a step back and say, wait a minute. Now, there are transcripts of people we spoke to. There are transcripts of people who were actually involved, who were saying, okay, I am a councillor of the APC. Right. I'm a former MP of the APC. For example, in Lonsar, the only tension you have in Lonsar, the entire of Lonsar, is a former MP of the APC who is creating problems between the mining companies and the chief, who he accuses the chief of being an SLPP member, right? We documented these things. You were not there. You haven't seen those transcripts. But yet you call our statement nonsensical, baseless. Now, it speaks to the issue that no one wants to own up to anything. And if you cannot own up to anything, it is also okay to just take a step back and say, okay, let me observe this situation. You were not there. People who spoke to us, we recorded them, we transcribed them, and there's evidence. You have not even said, okay, before I even jump to conclusion, can we review the transcripts or the evidence, right? You were saying one thing, Abdul Kabo said something different, the leader of the opposition said something different. Now, that again, in law, you are my senior. I mean, I don't know law, maybe because I'm a junior. But that again, in law, speaks to the veracity of what all the 3 parties are saying. But again, We are the ones who wrote nonsensical statements.
How do we get a national ownership of this document?
No,
As a way of
you don't have to have a national ownership.
Then how do we deal with the recommendations? So we were able to avoid the recurrence of already we're seeing on social media calls have been made for April 27th.
You see, this is the sad thing, and we missed that opportunity. When the president appointed this committee, we said this is a mini TRC. We missed that opportunity when we did the TRC. As soon as the TRC report came out, blaming people, and we all knew what happened, basically people disowned it. All what we found in this report is in the TRC report. If we had owned up to it, if we had been nationalistic and patriotic enough to say, okay, we went wrong, all of us, whether you are SLPP, APC, whether you are Timini, you are Leema, we owned up to it, we could have addressed those issues. Now, it's on party lines. Now it's grandstanding. It's about saying we are fighting it. You have nothing to fight. Like I said in front of the president, there are economic issues that are biting young people. There are youth unemployment. We have to address these issues. But there is an issue of where the opposition feels that they should not be opposition. They cannot constructively engage. There is an issue where the government is being accused of not reaching out to the opposition. These are issues that are national. There are many things that came out in that report that we all should own up to rather than taking partisan stands on it, right? We have no basis. I mean, there is no interest for us as a committee, for me as a person, to record something that I did not find in the field. Now, these data were collected from individuals, from people we interviewed, names of people. And Samuel, it will interest you to know that because we are in this digital world, when you as a councillor, the whole meeting, someone is recording it. I mean, a councillor, so party, we want to do this, we get for overthrow the government, or the government will do it. You make those statements, we have those recordings. So for my colleague, my senior colleague to say, it's nonsensical without seeing it, without being in the field, without having any idea of what really transpired. It's a bit of a shocker. But again, we all have respect for each other. But this is a national issue. Let us just take one step backwards and say, let's do this. Let's talk about Femi Claudius Cole.
Quickly, please, yeah.
Which you mentioned. Femi was invited. Once we invited her, she went on social media, she had a video call and lambasted us. She came with a lawyer. Every question we ask her, he said, when I go ask the psychiatrist, not to me. When I go ask, so every question, she gave nobody any opportunity to confront her with anything. We had those tweets. Whether they were manufactured or they were concocted, we had them. We wanted to present it, just like we would have done to Leema, just like we would have done to Aki Sawyer, just like we did to the SLPP Secretary General, we did to the Minister of Trade, we did to the head of NATCOM, NATCANAL. We spoke to everyone. Confront them with what we have, we get your own side. Just like we did to Hadi Macaulay. He was there for 3 hours. We grill him, he answered questions, we debated on the issues when we came to a conclusion.
Right.
So no one was cherry-picked to say you are the ones we hate, or you are Lahai Lehman, we hate you, we want the president to hate you. No. There was a list of people. We reached out to them, and we confronted them, and we came to a conclusion.
And in going forward, Safa, what's the next step for the committee?
We are dissolved. We stand dissolved. Our mandate has been completed, report given to the president, and the only thing I am doing now is making sure people understand, and that is why I want to go to radio stations and explain, because it's a report. One of the shortcomings of the TRC was that it was not disseminated enough. We're trying to do that as much as possible so people understand. Let us disseminate the content and then let's have debate on them.
Your work as a committee is done. It's left with the president now to take
report
action.
Report has been submitted to the president.
With regards to
in the process, we've had complaints. We have people who have raised concerns. Not really much, apart from Femi, whose letter I received yesterday. We have one more person who has come and said, my name was given to you by my detractors. I was not there, I did not, and we're looking into that. Apart from that, we're done.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel Safa Abdullahi, for taking your time to be part of Wake Ups earlier this morning. With that, we'll go on a very short break and we'll come back to have a conversation with the Minister of Information and Communications.
Every day, the world wakes up to you. Millions of people are getting ready for you. For shopping, travel expenses, utility bills, trade, and commerce. If we all have wishes, then what is your financial transaction wish?
I'd like to have a choice.
I'd like convenience.
I'd like to pay for goods and services on the go.
I'd like to pay utility bills on the go. Out of credit and data, buy some mobile top-up, still on my phone. Oops, lights out, I'll buy some ETSA, still on my phone.
I'd like to make payment from my account to another account through my mobile phone.
As a CEO of a company, I would like my staff to receive their salaries through bulk e-payment without the risk of transporting cash.
Rokel Commercial Bank SimCorp does it all.
Rokel Commercial Bank SimCorp. Think of it as
money when you're close to home and when you're away from home for unexpected expenses, and money for those times when cash fails.
If you can dream it, you can become it. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it.
Rokel Commercial Bank SimCorp is all you need.
We are now days away from Sierra Leone's Dates with Destiny, the June 24th general election. In this defining moment in the history of Sierra Leone, here at AYV, we recognize the mantle thrust upon us to be the voice of the nation fully.
We take our task to ensure fair coverage seriously. We intend to honor our pledge to you, to be your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced news. Totally. This is our commitment to you.
We have witnessed non-stop hours of groundbreaking broadcast in an effort that saw AYV rolled out 8 studios across Sierra Leone at Star Hill, Aberdeen, Makeni, Kenema, Bow, and London, with almost 3 kilometers of coaxial cable laid connecting 4 ground teams that consume almost 100 liters of coffee from Chef Terina. The most important number is 2.
Out of dozens of aspirants, only 2 men have emerged from the conventions in February as flag bearers of the APC and SLPP, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio and Dr. Samuel Matthew Wilson Tamara.
So far, we have witnessed a lot of intrigues. Maybe this is the beginning. Defections and realignments have been plenty. We don't know if there's more to come.
The only thing you can guarantee right now is that your home of credible, factual, and balanced news and analysis, AYV Media Empire, will bring you every twist and turn of this amazing race in full color and in high definition.
We shall have a comprehensive look at the developments around the election as we count down to Sierra Leone's date with destiny.
women clamored and got a law that provides 30% minimum quota in governance. Will that be achieved this June?
Well, one thing is clear. The nation has begun its conversation that will culminate a date with its destiny on the 24th of June. How much will change by then? And what shifts within the political landscape are we going to see?
Find out more on the nation's biggest and most trusted news source, AYV, on Channel 33, on DSTV Channel 399, on Radio 101.7 FM, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course on TikTok.
Yes, indeed. Only AYV. Because AYV, Naim Salo Sabi.
All right, welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone on AYV television and radio. And now in our final segment, a press release from State House has indicated that President Bio has suspended all official overseas travel by ministers, deputies, ministers of state and heads of department effective 30th April 2023. Now, the government said the suspension is to provide heads of MDAs the opportunity to report to the public on their work as the 5 years mandate of the government comes to an end. So to discuss this more, we have in the studio the Minister of Information and Communications, Mohamed Rahman Swari, and we're expecting to have on Zoom Cyril Djengo, an economist. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, good morning. Good to be here.
Now, the decision of the president to suspend the travel of ministers, deputies, is it also attributed to the economic situation and the concerns that some members of the public have raised that the traveling as well contributes towards the economic situation in the country?
No, so it cannot be the latter for very obvious reasons. We have stated times without number that when we decide to embark on overseas travels, we'll bear in mind the cost-benefit analysis. And in all of those instances, Sierra Leone has reaped more benefits than the investment in the trips. I don't even want to call it expenditure. So that is not why. You know, His Excellency is rooting for elections. He had appointed people since April 2018 to function in various capacities. That is a team he built over the years. It's only but fair and fitting that those team members are on ground and in place to be able to give account of their stewardship to Sierra Leoneans. Remember, he had said he was going to run an accountable administration. So staying on ground and answering questions from members of the public is an act of democratic accountability. The president, remember, is making his closing arguments now for re-election, hopefully on the first ballot. He can talk about the broad vision. The granular details are for people like me and others to talk about. If I were not in town, I was probably in Saudi Arabia, in Rwanda, in China. You might not be able to get me. So it's very important. It's a mark of respect to Sierra Leoneans that His Excellency has asked us to stay on ground and continue to interact, right? The other reason is that, you know, in moments like this, I've listened, you know, some very misguided social media postings indicating that some members of government have already left the country because there is insecurity. Which better way to indicate that this country is safe, we are cohesive, we are prepared for elections, and these elections, His Excellency has assured, will be free and fair in a very stable, tranquil, and peaceful environment.
Is it
this
also,
is a way to manifest it. So we're all here, all man in a ground.
Is it also
yes.
Is it also a campaign strategy to have the ministers go about and help with campaign?
Even if that were the case, what's wrong with that? We are part of the team. You know, the rest of us as ministers serve at the pleasure of His Excellency. So we want him to have another term. And I am convinced, I am so pretty confident as I sit here, having gone on thank-you tours with him across this country and on my personal behalf, I know it's going to be a Wujemete victory on the first ballot. No two ways, no ifs, no buts.
Who are the ministers expected to report to based on the president's directive now for them to stay in country and compile a report of their stewardship thus far? Are they expected to report to the president or to the people?
No, he has not said anybody must stay and compile a report. I'm merely saying this morning, last night, Samuel called me. He wanted me to appear on this program. If I were not in town, if I were in some environment, you know, Sierra Leone has a good internet system, by the way. If you go to some places, you are not able to access using any valid added service. So if I were in a place like that, you will not be able to get me. So His Excellency simply wants you and other media outlets and members of the public to be able to get Madam Memuna Pratt as and when you want her, to be able to reach out to Mr. Yelenke as and when you want him. Right. So
but
that's the point.
We've also had instances where we've been able to reach out to government officials when they're needed, even when they're out of the country. You have, you know, technological advancement. There's Zoom. There are other ways we reach out. So
did I just say I've traveled reasonably across the country? Proud to even my appointment. There are some places. If you go to a place like UAE in Dubai, where many people like to go, you know, you have a very disrupted, value-added service, digital services there. So you might not be able to do a serious interview on Zoom, on whichever social media platform, whichever value-added platform. So for those reasons, we don't want any ifs, no buts. That is why His Excellency in His wisdom has directed through this SP, the cabinet ministers, heads of MDs, are encouraged as best as possible to stay on ground.
Now, the challenge with that is there are times when, from the media perspective, you would want to get some of these leaders to an interview for clarification on something that concerns their ministry or department or agency.
Yeah.
And while they may not say they're unavailable, they would tell you they would, but it's making themselves available for that interview, for that accountability, that becomes the challenge. So as a government, what would be your line of actions going forward, especially now the president wants them to be in country so they're accessible by the people through the media to give account of their stewardship. But what happens in cases where these leaders, these heads, make themselves unavailable when invited?
Yeah, that's been the perennial problem. The fact that everybody is now staying on ground will help resolve that. His Excellency has given me renewed assurances to ensure that ministers required to face the public, whether on one-on-one or through the media, are so encouraged to do that. In coming days, you'll be hearing from me if it has to do with his re-election campaign, for example. I mean, I lead that committee together with very progressive members of our party. In coming days, you'll be hearing from me. Not everybody will be coming on air to represent the party. We will give you a direct line of contact so that we empower people to come here. But those are people we can trust to speak for and on behalf of the party in coming days. Because
and I was speaking about the government now, not the party.
But I've already spoken to that side of it. That look, for as long as they are on ground, as long as the Ministry of Information and Communications is briefed, will ensure that whoever is required for interview makes themselves available, or a competent designate will be so authorized to speak on their behalf. I mean, that's a deal.
Let me take you back quickly, Mr. Minister. So
Yes,
when you dismissed that it has nothing to do with economic reasons,
Yeah.
I mean, the decision. Under the APC, in the last term of former President Ernest Bai Koroma, he instituted about 22 austerity programs aimed at saving recurrent expenditure for, I think, about 309 billion at the time. No update whether anything was saved and all of that with some of these measures, and nothing was made known to the public. And this is not the first time the president is making this announcement under the SLPP. We've also seen similar announcements earlier, where even for asking MDAs not to even hold programs or conferences outside their boardrooms and all of that. And that was also aimed at helping to save the economy. So if this has nothing to do with the economy, Sierra Leoneans would want to ask, why not allow the ministers to keep doing their job?
I'll come to that. That's the second limb of my
ahead.
answer. Yeah, so you reference the directive, the executive order that ministers, these were in the early days of his presidency.
Right.
I mean, first he needed to have a handle on the situation. When situations stabilize, we realize, and rightly so, that you have a private sector that also needs to survive, right? We realize that the nature of some businesses will not allow you to host it at the Ministry of Information, for example, our conference hall. Apart from the sheer size, even the ambience around it. So you have to go to hotels. I mean, this is the private sector. The hotels are owned by the private sector, the conference halls. They pay taxes, they employ Sierra Leoneans, and a lot more things. How are you going to strangulate them by not taking businesses to them? But those policies were in early days, and they were meant to ensure that we had a handle on the economy and were able to stabilize the situation. Once that was done, we went full throttle to hold conferences and meetings in those hotels and wherever. And on the second bit of it, you asked, what was it now?
About the economic situation.
The economic situation.
Right.
So, like I have said, this has nothing to do with the economic situation, because even in the midst of where we are, we have continued to carry out public investment programs on roads, on bridges, all across the country. We have continued to invest in free quality education. We have continued to invest in hospital and other infrastructure. We have continued to sponsor our darling Leon Stars. We've continued to fund the Premier League. We've continued to do all of the things that government since 1961 have not even done. So you cannot say that kind of
you're saying
administration is an austerity.
So
right?
you're asserting that it doesn't have an impact on the economy.
Well, if it makes the economy better, fair enough, but it is not for that reason.
Okay, so it's not intending on the economy.
However,
but we would like to find out from an economist. We have Cyril Django with us on Zoom. Good morning, Cyril. Can you hear me?
Hello, good morning. Yes, I can get you all loud and clear.
And I'm sure you must have been following the conversation, and as well you'd probably be aware of the press release by the president. What impact would this ban on the traveling of ministers, their deputies, and heads of MDAs, what impact would that travel ban have on the economy, if any at all?
Fantastic question there, if any at all. From what the minister has just said to us there, it is not about an economic impact. It is more about a political venture to get everybody within the country to go on campaigning, because if it were an economic impact, I would have thought this should have come a long time ago, wherein you are planning to save on the economy. But as the minister has himself said, it's not about the economy. They will still be funding so many of their funding programs. It is more of a political venture.
But then the minister speaks as a government minister. For you, Cyril, as an economist, from an economic point of view, does it have an impact on the economy?
Not at all, none. Because of the time frame. The time frame is very, very short. And if you're using that measure to save on foreign dollars, on foreign currencies, you would need much more time. Now, it's just between now and June. So the impact is negligible. The impact is not major enough. It is not necessarily an economic policy. It is much more of a political policy. Because if it were economic, it would have happened long time ago. But let us talk about the other dimension, wherein government has basically come up with a lot of economic financial policies via the Finance Act, where we saw that as an economic tool to cushion the economy towards the election. But again, that one was essentially consisted of raising taxes on already burdened taxpayers, which for me is the economic part of government policy. But regarding the travels, no, there is not much economic impact on that. It is the Finance Act which may have some impact, and that impact could be very disastrous because you're going to increase taxes on the already overtaxed population in this country.
We'll find time to talk about the Finance Act. Let's get back. You're saying it's more for political decision. So what political gain does this bring to the ruling system at this point?
Yes, because you had the minister say everybody should be on board. It's like, well, let me say it in Creole. The government may be saying, this not a monkey walk, babu eat. All of us should be on the ground. It is not an economic policy. It is for us to go out there and do the campaigning. That if the government had said that this measure was more about reining expenditure, that would have had a lot of political traction on the populace, because as you know, everybody is now talking about the economy. The economy is in free fall. We all know that. But since the government is so sure of itself, it has refused to clearly say this is about the economy. The economy is the number one issue confronting the people of this country. And if the argument is that it is for political reasons, for political explanations and campaigning, I think that's a very, very bad signal. It may appear to me that it is a deliberate policy to dismiss the real economic significance of curtailing traveling. Based on my own estimation, every year, a minister can approximately spend up to $70,000 in traveling, in partying, in conferences. Well, imagine if this policy had come up way back last year. I can tell you the impact on the we cannot blame the government entirely for increase in for the rise in the dollar against the leon. Yet its very own fiscal policy, which is import-led growth, has been the biggest anomaly, which seems to be corrected, but in a rush in these finance laws. Now, when the U.S. raises interest rates, it is to do one thing, to reduce the number of dollars in circulation in their market and in the world. However, Sierra Leone becomes hard hit.
Just quickly, as you talk about the dollar, would this not also help in that respect? That when government officials travel, obviously their per diem would have, they're not traveling with leons, they have to travel with dollars, some. So would that not also reduce the pressure on the dollar?
But it's a very short time frame, my brother. Today is the 19th, and we're talking about 2 months from now. So the impact is very, 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 very negligible. It's not really a big impact. Like I said, if this had been done way back last year, it would be an economic policy. But what we have now is a Finance Act, which is purported to be the economic policy, which are fully exact. But not very poor people who are meant to be salvaged, worsened by reduced dollar circulation occasioned by the Federal Reserve in the U.S. increasing interest rates. You know why the leon fell so rapidly? It was because over last year, the U.S. government increased over 4%, the biggest yearly increase in interest rates ever. 4% increase in interest rates, which means a massive, massive reduction in dollar circulation. And when we are not exporting as a means of economic development, it means we are massively, massively short of the hard currency, the US dollars.
I'm afraid we have to hold you there, Cyril Django. Thank you very much for accepting to speak to us this morning. Cyril Django, they are a political economist, speaking to us on the decision of government to ban all travels of ministers, directors, and other state officials. Mr. Minister, you've had Cyril, and he is agreeing with you because of the time frame and how this would have no impact on the economy. So, if this is strictly a political decision, does that give your government, or should I say the ruling party, an advantage?
So I will not even say it's for political reasons. I did say from the onset that this was to deepen democratic accountability. This is showing respect for citizens, right? President Bio is enjoying a mandate given to him by the people of Sierra Leone. We are beneficiaries of his mandate. We are standing on his mandate. So, at a moment like this, when he's making his closing arguments, it's only but fair that we are all at hand to ensure that we are able to give granular details of our respective stewardships to the people of Sierra Leone as and when required, right? That is not politics. It's deepening democratic accountability. This is what governments are about, right?
So as we try to round off the conversation, what is the government doing at this point? I just quickly want to take you to the fact that the special investigative report, the part of the economic report speaks to that the socio-economic standings are not solely responsible for, but they contribute to what's happening in August. So what is government doing? Because there are recommendations how to deal with the economic situation.
Okay, so 2 things I will say as whole of the party in short.
Right.
Number one, I have read the report with a lot of diligence. It's clearly notes, yes, while there are issues around marginalization, economic challenges, unemployment or unemployability, and the drug culture, But that was not the sole reason. That you had rogue politicians whose ultimate objective was to overthrow the democratically elected government of His Excellency Brigadier Retired Dr. Julius Maada Bio. Right? It's clearly in the report. If you are a lazy reader, I advise you to read the executive summary of the report. These are not my words. These are the words of the commission. Yeah, the Special Investigation Committee set up. So having said that, we also note that in the course of his period, when His Excellency received that report, he noted, yes, there are global headwinds occasioned by the twin shocks of COVID, of the Russia-Ukraine war. However, even in the midst of that, when COVID broke, we had started doing very well as a country. We inherited a difficult situation, a very challenging situation, right? But we had started weathering the storm already. We had started weathering the storm. Once COVID broke, we put in place a quick action economic response program by which we gave $50 million to commercial banks to support importers so that we cannot have a shortage of essential commodities. Little wonder during all of those difficult periods, you know, while we saw long queues on social media, queuing up for basic essential commodities, Sierra Leone did not go down that path. Neighboring countries like Liberia, Guinea, and all of them came here to buy essential commodities. That was not a walk in the park. It was clearly thought through, right? Number two, His Excellency noted that his government continued to give palliatives, direct cash transfers to people living with disabilities when we locked down. It was during the same period that we commissioned the Munafa Fund. It was during the same period that we paid wages for people working in the service sector, hotel and tourism employees, for 3 months. So we did a lot of things. It was during the same period that we have had to do upward review of salaries for various people and did employment. This did not happen in many countries. So yes, we agree there are economic challenges, but there are also economic challenges in other parts of the country, the report noted. Why didn't they also go out swinging and asking for President Bio's head? Right? So these are the issues we are talking about. We also note that you had a whole generation of young people who had missed out on education, on schooling, so that they can have a legitimate source of livelihood. These guys are now grown up. They want to start families. They want a good life. That is why government is investing in technical education, technical and vocational education and training. We have them up and running in about 10 districts right now as I speak, and we have had the Skills Development Fund doled out to these institutions so that those young men who missed out on technical vocational education and training could also catch up and get secure and sustainable livelihoods to look after themselves and their families and not see crime as a way out.
And just as we wrap up, before we let you go, Safa was saying here that their work is done. They've done the presentation to the president. Yep. Is there a word you would share with the people right now on what the government intends to do with the report?
Well, His Excellency Sir Peter Station, I was there when he received this report, and he did say actionable parts of the report will be actioned. And he warned that while we expect individuals to express their views on policy issues, freely express their opinions, as in a democracy, there are also responsibilities. He did say anybody who has had a hand in to torpedo the peace and stability of this country, be it in the killing of, in the cold-blooded murder of a police officer, or participation in the August 8 to 10 demonstrations, will have their day in court.
An attempted overthrow comes with serious legal implications. Yep. Is this issue expected to stand trial?
Well, the president did promise action on actionable bits of the recommendations. So that's probably something you might need to talk to the AG about.
Thank you very much for your time to talk to us this morning.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Well, this is where we would end today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. Thanks to all our guests, our viewers and our listeners for being a part of it, and thanks to all of you who took time to drop a comment on the Facebook page. Our quote for today says, "The equal right of all citizens to health, education, work, food, security, culture, science and well-being. That is the same right we proclaimed when we began our struggle, in addition to those which emerge from our dreams of justice and equality for all inhabitants of our world, and is what I wish for all. And that's a quote from Fidel Castro, a Cuban revolutionary politician who also served as Cuban president from 1976 to 2008.
Many thanks to our sponsor, Rokel Commercial Bank, for their support to the show. Continue staying with us throughout the day. We have other exciting programs coming up. Until we meet again, we have been your presenters. My name is Samuel Wise Bangura.
And I am Phoebe Swil, wishing you a lovely day. Yes.